disagreements, but yes, really nice to meet you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's David Smith. Some of you may know me better as Little Ninja UK. It's a campaign I set up to protect my son's young lungs and lungs of Londoners, especially the children. It's about 4 years now. Now, I'm here to talk about the social injustice of low traffic neighbourhoods, but I have to admit that what we've heard so far from Sean, from Bill, from everybody else who's come up here, actually covered up a huge amount of what I've got to say. So you've saved yourselves from listening to me for 15 minutes. I can shrink it down. In terms of air pollution, I think it's really important to recognise now that officially, by law, we know that people die from air pollution. We've got the young Elikasa Deborah, it's there on a death certificate, that air pollution kills. Now, for the last 4 years, I've been doing what I can, campaigning, trying to raise awareness of the impact of air pollution on children's health. We know that where air pollution is highest is on main roads. There's no doubt about that anymore. It's on main roads. The experts are telling us that's where they get their largest air pollution exposure. When? It's during the school run, 5 times higher than at any other time of the day. And also when they're at school, because the schools are generally on the main roads or near to the main roads. 90% of people live on side roads. So in terms of where we're getting our air pollution exposure for adults as well, when we're on the school run, when we're working, your bus drivers, your street cleaners, the people in the shops, it's on main roads. Shameful. Now, we've been campaigning for years and years saying we need to do something to reduce that. We've got things like the red routes in London. 5% of the road network takes 30% of the traffic. And that's massive. And the impact it's having is illegal levels of air pollution so high that children who breathe it have up to 14% reduced lung capacity. And so you know, that's like an egg-sized chunk missing out of their lungs, and it's irreplaceable, it's irreparable. And that's what our children are facing. Children in buggies and babies down here at the height of the exhaust pipes. And that's what they're breathing. So the last thing we need to do is in any way increase air pollution on these roads, increase congestion. And Bill mentioned congestion. It's really important that we understand what congested traffic actually means. When you see a vehicle accelerating just to move forward a couple of feet and then it stops and then it's idling, that idling, 1 minute is like 150 balloons. So imagine a balloon 150 times the normal balloon. That's 1 minute filled with toxic gas. It's got things like cyanide in there. All right, toxic gas. It's carcinogenic group 1 like tobacco smoke. Yeah, it increases the risk of cancer and it stunts kids' lungs. And this is what our children are breathing. But it's not just 1 minute and 1 car. These are thousands of vehicles idling for 15, 20 minutes. So when we had the COVID emergency, and they looked to say, well, who's most affected? Guess what? It's the poor and it's the black ethnic minority in London, particularly, yeah, but also across the UK. And they're dying, they're more likely to be infected, they're more likely to die from COVID-19. And then you say to yourself, okay, well, now we're going to do a COVID response. So what's the COVID response going to be? Because we know there's a link between air pollution and COVID. If you live in an area of high air pollution, you're more likely to be infected by coronavirus, you're more likely to die from coronavirus. So when it comes time for your councils to do an emergency response, a COVID emergency response, it's got to be due with lowering air pollution on the main roads, because that's where people are most at risk. But instead, they close side roads. Instead, they say, we're going to introduce low traffic neighbourhoods. Now, if we go back 2 years, this will make a bit more sense of why they did that. Because I got a call a couple of years ago from parents in Stoke Newington saying, please help. The council are trying to close these 3 side roads to create a low traffic neighbourhood. We've got 3,500 children at the local schools and nurseries on the main road, and the experts say it's going to increase the air pollution exposure. And we know what that means. It means stunted lung growth, it means shorter life expectancy, maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe years. For some children, it's decades. It shortens life. There's no doubt about it now. And the council said, we're going to do that, even though the experts said don't. These mums got themselves on ITV News. They actually got the experts to say, this is going to increase asthma. We've got 1.1 million children with asthma in the UK, and a quarter of those is due to air pollution. And the council had to force to do a consultation. And you can guess what the consultation said. 70% said, on your way. No way you're doing a low traffic neighbourhood. Well done to the parents. Then you get COVID-19 and the council turn around and they say, we're now going to impose this LTN and all the other LTNs that Bill's been talking about. We're just going to impose it now. Yeah? Your consultation doesn't matter. Your views, your desires, doesn't matter. Equality impact assessment, doesn't matter. Because they have the power that they can just impose this. This is a problem now for everybody in London. Because when you get to the point where your voices don't mean shit, and I'll say the word, it don't mean jack. It don't mean nothing. 70% of you can say what you like, it doesn't matter. Because the small minority who've got the influence, who've got the power, can choose to do what they want. They got the academics to back it up and say, oh look at this, do a little fiddle. They got the Guardian newspaper with reporters who are going to say, low traffic schemes benefit all, benefit everyone. Do low traffic schemes benefit everyone? Low traffic schemes benefit the most deprived in London. Do low traffic neighbourhoods benefit the most deprived in London? And yet, that's the headline in the Guardian newspaper, because that's the kind of power and influence this group have. Now, I am known as a clean air campaigner, because for 4 years I've been invited to House of Commons, City Hall, I've been on Sky News, BBC News, Victoria Derbyshire Show, and the list goes on, talking about clean air, talking about protecting our children. Yeah? And yet, as soon as I put my hand up and say, hold on, there looks to be a social injustice about low traffic neighbourhoods, bang. Doors, tunk, 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 closed. I used to be speaking maybe 20, 30 times a year. This is the second time I've had to speak. The first time I've been invited to speak was at Lambeth for this event, and now today. So thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for letting me share my voice. Please keep it going. Big love.
Next we've got three last speakers.